Let's just start by talking about what happened in the pandemic in terms of you like blew up.
Give me a good pandemic and I flourish. I was in Tennessee with my mom, and when they said we all had to stay home, I thought, I'm going to stay here. And that was kind of a good decision, but not a good decision. I had a lot of time on my hand. And I started posting on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I did 2 posts a day, I think, for 80 days. And I would always start it with, well, how y'all doing? What? This is awful. You know, we're just stuck a lot. And just talk and talk. And then I don't know what happened. People have said to me, what's the secret? I have no idea. It would jump 1 million a day. 1 million a day.
What were you thinking at that point?
Well, I was just thinking, my gosh, who are these people that want to hear what I have to say? And I think it's because I was a marketing genius and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Because I stayed away from politics, religion. Yeah. I didn't try to sell anybody anything.
Yeah.
I just talked about, what are y'all doing? Here's what I'm doing. I cut my hair because I couldn't get to the barbershop. I cut my hair on Instagram one day. I did. Just whatever was going on. I didn't think it through much. I certainly didn't rehearse.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden it's like standing right now at 5.7 million or something.
It's like if you'd planned it, it probably wouldn't have worked.
Exactly. I think that's it. If I had sat down and had a marketing team or something like that, it was just the innocence of it, I guess.
I think so. I mean, like I said, my 24-year-old daughter came in and stuck your face in my face and said, you got to watch this.
But I do. It's nice. I have people come up to me and say, you got me through that.
Yeah.
I'm stuck at home with my kids. I thought I was going nuts, and I would look forward to just a minute or two with you every day. And I think that's what comedy's about. They say that comedy is tragedy 2 weeks later.
Yes. Yes. At one point you wanted to be in jockey, but I mean, where did the acting bug come from?
I got back. I tried. I really did. I exercised racehorses from the time I was probably 19 until late 20s, and I got tired of the travel. You go, New York to Saratoga to Hialeah Park in Miami and Canada and all over. Wherever the horses went, I went. Yeah. And everything I owned could fit in an MG. I had a little convertible MG.
Wow, nice car.
Well, it wasn't really. I had a futon that would roll up, and I lived very nomadic. But I thought, I'm getting too old for this. So I went back, and I enrolled in journalism classes at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. And they said, you got to get an arts elective. And someone said, take that intro to theater. It's an easy A. Yeah. And I was not one who did plays in high school, or, I was always funny. Yeah. But that was to keep the bullies at bay. I learned very early to make people laugh. And I got up in that intro to theater class, and it just hit me like a drug. I mean, I went to the head of the department, and I said, tell me what to do. And he said, well, first let's learn how to pronounce it. It's not theater. It's theater. I said, that's what I said, theater. He said, no, theater. So I got a degree in theater, and in 1982, I think, headed to California. Now, why I didn't go to New York, I can't remember. Yeah. With a theater degree, theater degree.
You had, what was it, like $1,400 sewn into your shorts?
Yes, sewn into my underpants. My mother sewed it into my drawers. I got a couple of commercials and got on a kind of a roll with that. Solid for probably 4 years. That's all I did was TV. I was the pit printing guy. I was the elevator operator to Hamburger Hell for Taco Bell, where you go if you don't eat hamburgers. I was, a list. I used to look at my old reel and see all that stuff I did, but I did commercials forever. And then my first job was the Fall Guy with Lee Majors. I don't know if you remember that.
I do, sure.
From years ago.
Yeah. That was your first TV job?
Yes.
Yeah.
I played a murderer, and I pulled it off.
What gave you the confidence to go to California?
I don't know. From a very early age, I was told I was special, you know.
Yeah.
And anything I did that got applauded, and you know, I can remember getting to first grade and figuring out I'm not that special, you know. But maybe that was it. Just patted on the back and told I could achieve anything from this little young kid, and
Yeah.
I never thought twice. You know, I never thought twice about anything I've ever gone after.
What was it like for you growing up in the South?
Well, you know, I wasn't good at I was a sissy. You know, I wasn't good at sports. My dad was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. He was a man's man, and his, you know, group of guys would come home, and I'd be twirling a baton in the front yard.
Yeah.
You know, my mother had taught me. She was a champion baton twirler. And, Daddy, watch me twirl. And he would, you could just see, he called me son, almost like he was in deep pain. Just, oh, son. Son, just, hey, come here. Won't you twirl in the house? I said, Mama's scared I'll break something. I'll pay for whatever you break. Just twirl in the house. So I don't, you know, I've said it was rough growing up, but it wasn't, because I was a popular kid.
Yeah.
You know, but I had a secret, and that from the time you're about 14 years old and you realize, yikes, you know, and you would hear people, you know, use the word queer or this and that, and I think, is that, like very disparagingly, and you think, yikes, that's me, but let's just keep it on the down low. And my mother, even, I told her when I was about 12, I said, you know, that she didn't even know. I mean, what could she, Liberace and Paul Lynde on the center square, that's all there was to compare it to. And she's, the best advice she gave me. I thought she'd pull out her Bible maybe, because we were very devout. She just said, I think you'll be subject to ridicule if you choose this, like something I choose. I chose this. She said, I think you'll be subject to ridicule, and I couldn't bear that. And so just, why don't you just live quietly? So here I am.
It's like, how can you ask your son to live quietly?
just a little church mouse. Here I am.
You lost your dad at 11?
Yeah. That was tough.
I bet.
Yeah, and my sisters were 9. He was in the Army Reserves by that point, and they were flying to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, to Camp Shelby, I think it is, for a summer training camp. And the plane went down, and there were 5 men killed. One of them had 10 kids. But wow. I think from that event, how it has reverberated through our family, you know, my life, I wonder a lot, like what would be different? And I've asked my mom that.
Yeah.
What do you think, how do you think Dad, she said, your dad loved you so unconditionally.
Yeah.
He would have, you know, he would have been fine. But, yeah, that's, you know, you do look back and you wonder. But I will go home to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I still have people come up to me in the grocery store and say, you've got to be Alan Jordan's boy.
Yeah.
Something about the way I talked, the way I looked, our signatures.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something recently where he had signed something, and I said, that's uncanny.
Yeah.
That is uncanny, that my signature is exactly like my dad's. And I catch my mother looking at me a lot, you know, and saying, so much like him.
How does that make you feel when?
Oh, you know, it saddens me, but it does make me feel very proud, because he was, you know, he was superintendent of the Sunday school.
Yeah.
If he wasn't big enough to play football, then he was the manager or the water boy or something. And he was had never met a stranger.
Yeah.
We would go places, and my dad would introduce himself in the grocery line. I was kind of horrified. I'm just a kid. Yeah. He'd go, hey, buddy, I'm Alan Jordan. This is my son, Leslie. Leslie, stand up. I'd get down in he'd stop at a stoplight.
Yeah.
He'd say, hey, bud, what year's that car? La, la, la. And I'd get down in the floorboard. But talking to people.
I can't imagine you being shy, but I know you are.
Well, you know, when you're a kid, you're just awkward.
Yeah.
You know, when adults want to ask you questions and stuff.
No, I hated it. You have reinvented yourself a bunch of times, which is not easy to do.
No.
How do you do that?
Well, it's not something that just happens overnight. You'll you'll start thinking. I remember one time they sent me down and they said, "There's two ways we can go here.
Yeah.
We can sell you like a personality,
Yeah.
where you can host things, and you can, you can go that route.
Yeah.
Or you're a good actor." And I said, "Well, I kind of like to keep the acting. I mean, that's what I do. That's what
Yeah.
I'm good at." And somehow I do both now, you
Yeah.
know.
How did you like LA when you got out there?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I found West Hollywood, and, having grown up in a very repressed Southern Baptist atmosphere, there were just queers hanging from the trees. I mean, everywhere you looked, there were queers. And I was, oh. In fact, that kind of got in the way a little bit because, there was just a lot of carrying on, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've 25 years now. And I never let it interfere with my work, but, there was a lot of carrying on, running the streets and trying to keep the balls afloat.
It's like you're suddenly in the candy store.
But it was a wonderful time. And then also, when I got to West Hollywood early on, all of a sudden we were a city under siege. AIDS hit,
Right.
and there was not a lot of help.
Yeah.
We just couldn't really get help, and we figured out as a community,
Yeah.
we're going to have to take care of our own.
Right.
And so I was right there when they started, like, the AIDS Project Los Angeles in somebody's living room.
Yeah.
I was right there when they started Project Angel Food, where we delivered,
Yeah.
meals to people that couldn't get out. And you still have that sense now of this community.
Yes.
Not so much anymore, but a real sense of we have to do it, guys. We have to do it. We have to take care of our own.
Right. You only just bought an apartment
I just bought a condo.
after 40 years of living there?
And it's on a hill overlooking West Hollywood. I'm now the king of West Hollywood. Looking down on my subjects.
It feels like in some ways the world's kind of opened up to you even more in the last few years because of this.
Right.
What do you want from that?
The only thing that fame gives you is a platform.
Yeah.
And then you have to decide, am I going to give or am I going to take?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give. I want to leave a mark in some ways, but I want to be of service. You learn that in recovery very early on.
Yeah.
That the way in which to stay clean and to stay sober is to be of service to another. Mm-hmm. And that takes you out of yourself. I think that's it, that I want to live a life of service to other people, and that gives me happiness.
Mm-hmm. How do you see yourself doing that?
Well, I'm just available. I remember the biggest lesson I ever learned in acting was I went to my very first job completely sober after I got clean and was Caroline in the City with Leah
yeah.
Thompson.
Yeah.
And I got a 5-episode arc, and I said to my sponsor at the time, my spiritual advisor, I've never really worked. He said, listen, here's the way you approach it. This is the way you approach it. You want to be of loving service. And I said, oh, that's such, new age. What am I going to do, going and pass out flowers to people? He said, no. You're of loving service to the director. It's his vision.
Yeah.
It's not your vision. You're there to serve the director's vision. You can certainly bring what you bring to the table, but you're there also to be of loving service to the producers.
Yeah.
That means you're on time. You know your lines. You don't make waves. You have to be of loving service to your fellow actors, which means you don't steal the scene.
Yeah.
I said, me? And I went to work to be a worker among workers and to just be of service to the project. And I started working solid.
Yeah. But now that you've got this persona, it's like you're in charge of that.
Yeah. And sometimes I get tired of that. It's like they'll say, I'll do a take or something. They go, "Where do that Leslie Jordan thing?" I said, oh, "Okay.
What
and
is
that I
it?
can do, whatever that is. I don't know."
What is it?
Well, it's just bright and bubbly, and I don't know. I don't know what it is.
So this musical journey you're on here, it seems like you're having a lot of fun with it.
Oh my gosh, so unexpected just to happen at in my 60s. And
Yeah.
I'm a country music singer now. I love Nashville and the way that Nashville embraced me.
Yeah.
I worried a little bit, I
were
left
you-
Tennessee. I kind of got ran out of Tennessee for being gay, chased out of Tennessee in my head. But to come back and be just fully embraced, and
Yeah.
that people in the industry, and to be taken kind of serious,
Yeah.
and to have made, an album with Dolly Parton, Chris Stapleton,
Yeah.
Brandy Carlisle.
Yeah.
That's something. And it happened so quickly that I didn't really think it through. And now when I look back, I think, whoa, that's
Yeah.
an accomplishment.